Hello everyone, no one of consequence here, back again with a new video. This is episode 63 in a series which recounts my ongoing Dungeons & Dragons campaign, which is now in its 10th year. So as always, spoiler alert, I will be revealing details found in this adventure module. And this is the party composition for the Descent into the Depths of the Earth campaign. We have 8 characters controlled by 5 different players. So where we left off last time, the party had just settled down to spend their first night in the Underdark. The next morning, the wagon train's marching order was rearranged. Since Varys was now the party's leader, as a so-called liberator of Loth, he was placed at the head of the column. And in addition to Varys, Thorol was up front too, because he can speak Elvish as well. I had previously ruled that the Drow version of Elvish was close enough to surface Elvish that general ideas and concepts could be communicated between them. Now, the next marked point on the character's Drow map showed an icon that appeared to the players to be either a squid or an octopus. They eventually concluded that it was probably meant to depict a mind flayer. The location was far enough away that it took most of a day's travel to reach it. So once Obrak determined that they were within about half a mile of that location, the characters dismounted from their mules and grouped up the carts. It was decided that just Varys and Gorbadoc would go forward and try to establish communications with the presumed mind flayers. The players speculated that they might even be the same mind flayers that Gorb had spoken to previously under the fire giant's lair. So before departing, Varys and Gorbadoc said that if they did not return within 45 minutes to send help, they also decided to proceed on foot so as not to risk their riding animals. Varys and Gorbadoc were walking along when suddenly a wave of magic struck them. Gorb managed to avoid the effects, but Varys did not. He suddenly became enraged at Gorb and began trying to attack him. Gorbadoc activated his ring of invisibility and ran back down the cavern about 30 feet or so, while using his natural halfling skills to move quietly. Meanwhile, Varys was lunging about with a sword, yelling for Gorbadoc to come out and fight, while slashing wildly at the air. In his rage at Gorb, Varys did not notice a group of were-rats rushing forward to attack. I realize they're difficult to see in the screenshot, but there are a total of 6 were-rats. The were-rats soon surrounded Varys and began attacking him. Varys fought back, but he also continued to scream at Gorbadoc, accusing him of being a coward by hiding, while sending his minions to do his dirty work. While still invisible, Gorbadoc cautiously returned, hoping that Varys' rage effect would soon wear off. Then he could safely help Varys fight the were-rats. Once Varys was clearly no longer under the rage effect, Gorbadoc did move in and help him to fight the were-rats. One were-rat fled in panic when suddenly a new wave of magic washed over Gorbadoc and Varys. Again, Gorbadoc resisted the effects, but now Varys suddenly announced that his new best friend was just down the passageway and that he and Gorb should go and greet him. From previous experiences with this spell, Gorb realized that Varys had now been charmed. Varys began walking down the passageway, eager to meet up with his new friend. Meanwhile, Gorb wrapped his arms around Varys' leg, trying to stop him. Unfortunately, all he succeeded in doing was slowing Varys down a little. Then, the last remaining were-rat grabbed Gorb by the ankles, trying to pull him free from Varys. And all this time, Varys kept asking Gorb why he was trying to stop him from going to be with his trusted friend and ally. At that point, a new wave of magic now hit Gorbadoc, and this time he failed his saving throw against it. He suddenly agreed with Varys that they should both go together and meet their new best friend. And with that, Gorb, Varys, and the were-rat all began walking together down the passageway. Back at the wagon train, the rest of the characters entertained themselves while waiting for the agreed-upon time to elapse. Garrett broke out a deck of cards, and Niobe even opened up a bottle of wine, much to everyone's surprise. The Sergeant Major disapproved of such lax discipline in this dangerous place, so he stood watch along with the two dogs. When Gorb and Varys didn't return, the other characters finally decided to go look for them. This time they all decided to go together, but they did leave Gorb's dog behind along with Quan. They would be responsible for protecting the party's wagon train while the characters were away. Needless to say, Quan did not relish this assignment. Most of the characters opted to walk, but Obrak decided to ride his goat. And this screenshot just shows the characters moving on down the passageway. Soon, a magic-based attack swept over the group, and Obrak's goat fell over asleep. A general melee quickly broke out between the characters, several were-rats, and a mind flayer. Thorol created a wall of ice using his wand in order to split up their opponents so that the characters could defeat them in detail. The battle continued, during which the wall of ice was eventually destroyed. However, by then, most of the monsters were defeated. Even the Mind Flayer fell to a particularly savage attack from Aramis. The characters didn't notice it at the time, but at this point, a second Mind Flayer fled into the darkness to the west. I realize he's difficult to see in the darkness of this screenshot, but I've pointed him out there. And I know this one is probably even more difficult to see, but it shows the Mind Flayer and a single surviving were-rat continuing to flee to the west. But before he left, the Mind Flayer told Varys to remain here and stop any pursuers, saying that they meant to harm him, and i.e. the Mind Flayer. Varys readily agreed to block any pursuers with his life if necessary. So back at the main group, the last were-rat was finally defeated, but there was still no sign of Gorbadoc or Varys. The characters began exploring a nearby side chamber, still looking for the missing characters. Gorbadoc was finally found, but his throat had been slashed and he was dead. Nearby, the characters found the body of a Drow elf merchant, also newly killed by a slash to the throat. Gorbadoc was raised right away using a Halloween holiday reward item, but the characters were undecided about doing anything for the Drow. So they decided to just leave him, at least for the time being. A small room was discovered nearby containing cots and other personal belongings. Clearly, this is where the mind flayers had been camping while they were here. It was also at this point that the characters first realized that there were actually two mind flayers here. This development was worrisome, but the party did find many valuable items among the mind flayers' abandoned belongings. So, exploring a little further down the main passageway, the character soon encountered Varys, who of course was still charmed. He moved to stop the party from pursuing the remaining mind flayers, and he quickly forced the characters into melee. Unfortunately, both Obrak and Aramis scored critical hits during the same combat round, killing Varys outright. Obrak low-rolled his damage, and what he did roll was only doubled. But Aramis rolled the max damage possible, and as per his critical hit, that damage result was tripled. I know it's difficult to see his health bar in the screenshot, but Varys ended this combat round at negative 24 hit points. So, of course, the characters used another holiday reward item to revive Varys. But one good thing about Varys having been killed is that the charm effect that he was under was now dispelled. After some discussion, the characters decided to raise the Drow Elf merchant as well. They concluded that he could probably provide them with valuable information about what lies ahead, and by now Nio can cast the Raise Dead spell. So they decided to do that instead of using up another holiday reward item, if they even had any of those left by now. I honestly don't remember. The downside from a Raise Dead spell is that if you die and get brought back using that spell, you permanently lose 1 point of Constitution. But I don't inflict that penalty on holiday reward items that are used to bring people back. So once he was revived, the Drow merchant told the characters that he had been part of a trade caravan that was attacked by a huge band of were-rats. He said he was captured during the fighting and brought here to be questioned by the mind flayers. He also said that if the characters would escort him safely back to the Drow city, he would take them directly to his own merchant clan's headquarters and report that the characters had rescued him. The merchant said that his clan is affiliated with the Drow House Alaval, which is neutral in the current conflict. The merchant said that all his clan would care about is doing business with the characters, and he promised they would be paid a good price for their trade goods. The characters accepted the Drow merchant's proposal and agreed to take him into their convoy. And with that, everyone went back to where the carts were parked. Fortunately, nothing had come along while the characters were away, but Quan was still extremely glad to see them. Once things were organized, the characters got underway again. They now decided to put Obrak up front with Varys, as well as have everyone travel on foot, at least for the time being. This was because the second Mind Flayer was still unaccounted for, and the characters were leery of a possible ambush. However, nothing bad happened, and the convoy traveled a few more miles. You can't really see him in the screenshot, but the Drow merchant was placed in the middle of the convoy. And just as an aside, he told the characters that his name was Radnuno. Characters eventually came to an unexpected fork in the tunnel with a branch running north. The characters asked Rabnuno if he knew anything about it, but he said he had never been that way. So it was decided that Garrett and Gorb would use their invisibility rings and go investigate this new passageway. Alright, well that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Share the video if you can. And anything you can do to help support the channel, I appreciate it. Thanks again. Bye for now.
Agree.